All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Chakodash, giving double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Peace and salutations to the Akim, brethren out there on the highways and byways pushing this truth and 100% sincerity. And peace and salutations to the few and sincere sisters who believe in this gospel. So I want to entitle this lesson, Hast Thou Considered Death? Right? Because on my way here, had to go pick up a load in Kansas City. So on my way here, I was just kind of meditating on a few things. There was some family situations going on, and I was just meditating on a few things, and it came to my mind, like, because the Lord is putting the cold spirit on the men of the Lord, right? Towards just these regular everyday people, friends, family, and everything like that. And then I thought about it, you know, I thought about it if, what if I gotta die, right? What if I gotta die? What if, whether it may be I'm a martyr, or whether I may not even be a part of the elect or the first fruits, and I just end up dying here in Babylon the Great? Because that's something to consider in this truth, right? Now we believe if we're doing the work and we believe in Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah, and we're conducting ourselves, spiritually and in sincerity, we believe that we could be of the elect, but the truth of the matter is we don't know until we're on those chariots, right? And even then, you will have martyrs in this truth. And I was just thinking about it like, what if I gotta die? What if I have to die? And you have to become cold hearted, not just to the situations that we're gonna see out here that are gonna be happening out here in Babylon the Great. That could be to family, friends, children, women, all of the things that are going out here. We're gonna have to have a cold hearted spirit, but we even have to have a cold hearted spirit towards death, meaning that even at the face of death, um, it should have no effect on us, right? Let me get this one. Even at the face of death, it should have no effect on us. Let me get this in Revelation. Revelation chapter 12. Actually, no, this wasn't the one. I think it was in 2. Yeah, here it is. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life," right? So we gotta consider that we might have to die for this ministry, right? And you even have to consider that you might not be a part of the elect. And you just might have to just be accept judgment. You know what I'm saying? That is something to consider. But we hope to be a part of the elect. We hope for salvation, even if we do have to be a martyr for this truth. Because if you are a martyr for this truth, right, then you're gonna be, you're gonna be joined with Yahweh Shai in return when he comes back, right? But all in all, through this truth, through this ministry, when you really understand it, you have victory over death, right? Yahweh Shai was victorious over death, right? Because he was put to death, but then he rose again 3 days later, right? He rose again 3 days later and overcame death. So we have to have that mindset and spirit that Yahweh Shah did, that we've overcome death through the blood that Yahweh Shah shed. We've overcome death. So even if we do have to die for this truth, right? It don't mean, not to say it don't mean nothing, but having to die for this truth, you're still going to receive that reward. Is really what I want to say. You're still going to receive that reward. So you got to ask you got to ask yourself that question: are you ready to die? Right? It's a song by St. Louis nigga, Three Problems, right? He got a line in it. He's like, "How you gangsta and you afraid to die?" Well, how you in this truth and you afraid to die? You know what I'm saying? You can't be in this truth and be afraid of death. So you gotta consider these things. You gotta put these things in your mind that this could happen. This could happen to me. You know? It's the book of Luke, chapter 14, starting at verse 26. It says, "If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple." Right? And not to literally hate your life, but to be in the spirit of, man, if I lose my life for this truth, so be it. If I have to lose all of my family, if I have to lose all of my possessions, everybody and everything that I love, including my life, then so be it. This is just something that I got to let go, because the reward is much greater than keeping what we have here. The reward in the kingdom is much, much greater. So much greater we can't even imagine it, than keeping what we have here in this kingdom. Right? So it's not saying literally hate mother, wife, children, brethren, and sisters, even though, if they in a wicked spirit, that's a whole nother situation. But if you have a decent relationship with your family, it's not saying, all right, man, I gotta hate y'all now. It's not saying that, but you gotta be willing to let them go if need be. Right? If when it comes down to it, and your family members take that MOTB, you got to separate yourself from them, no matter how much you love them. I have a fairly good, Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah has blessed me to have a good relationship with my parents. You know what I'm saying? And, particular family members. But it may come to a point to where I gotta let them go. You know what I'm saying? I gotta let them go. And that could be a test for me. That could be a test for other brothers too. You know? Verse 27, it says, "Whosoever doeth not bear his cross, and come after me, cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it," right? So you got to count the cost. You got to consider, and that's why a lot of people fall out of the truth, because they never counted the cost. They never considered how serious this thing is. They never really considered it. A lot of Jake really just think that this is just something to be a part of, but they don't really believe it. They don't truly believe that this is the truth. They may believe that we're Israelites. They may believe that, the Lord has chosen us to be his people, but they might not fully believe in the prophecies, right? And the things that are here to come in the near future, right? So they might not consider the cost, the sacrifices they have to make, and the fact that you might have to die. You might have to die. That's a real thing in this truth. You might gotta die, man. So you got to consider these things. You got to count the cost. This is the book of Luke, chapter 12, and verse 4. And it says, "And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, And after that, have no more that they can do, right? Because, for example, these Edomites, man, all they can do is kill you. Esau don't have no power behind that. You know what I'm saying? It's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah that controls the spirit. Ultimately, he controls Esau, right? Esau, Edom. But after the flesh, Esau has no control. Esau has no power, because that's what a lot of Israelites are going to be afraid of in this time. Is they're going to be afraid of, possible death. And not to say that us being in the flesh, we wouldn't have some type of uneasy feelings or even, a little fear, because it is uncomfortable, right? It is an uncomfortable thing. Why the fuck you park your fucking truck in front of my truck? It's like it's an uncomfortable thing to have to deal with. But when you truly believe and have faith, you know and understand that, man, look, this devil, if it's written, if I have to die, then it was predestined for me to die. And if I die in this faith and in this truth, then I'm going to be raised back up along with Yahweh Shai and the rest of those who died in this truth, right? And we're going to return with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, or with Yahweh Shai, right? We're going to return when Yahweh Shai returns, as it is written in the scriptures, right? Verse 5, it says, "But I will forewarn you whom ye shall fear. Fear him which after he hath killed hath power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him." Right? Because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, there are going to be people who die and who are going to be raised back up to be judged again. Right? There are going to be people who die who are going to be raised back up to be judged when those nukes hit. And the Lord can do that to you, man. So you don't want to be in that number, right? You want to be in the number of those who are going to be saved. So that's why we fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Fuck Esau. You know what I'm saying? Fuck what Esau think he can do. He has no power over the spirit. He has no power over the Lord. Right? Verse 6. "Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them is forgotten before the Most High? But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, ye are more value than many sparrows," right? So look, man, if the Lord is taking care of the animals, you know what I'm saying, and in nature, right? How much more us? So we really have nothing to fear, man. We got to overcome the flesh, as the scriptures say, in the book of Second Ezra, where he says, "I commended those who put off the immortal clothing and put on," it's like he who put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal clothing. Right? We got to put off the mortal and put on the immortal. Right? And that's in the spirit. Meaning, even though we may be in this flesh, man, we don't fear death. We don't fear dying. Dying has no effect on you. Dying has no influence over you. Right? And this is me speaking to myself first and foremost. You got to really believe that. And you got to really embrace that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a very real possibility. It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doeth corruption inherit incorruption, right? So this flesh, this blood, this corruptible flesh, we can't inherit the kingdom in these bodies. The Lord has to change us and perfect us, right? Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed, right? We're not all of us are going to die, because as the scriptures say, there shall be some that will not taste death, as Yahweh Shah said, right? But all of us are going to receive those new bodies. Those who may die in the faith, and those who don't, we're going to be changed. We're going to receive those new bodies. Verse 52, in the moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory, right? We have victory over death. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? Death has no influence over us. Death has no effect on us. Which is why no matter what, man, that's why the scriptures say endure unto the end. If you endure unto the end, death has no victory over you. So we don't worry about it. We consider it. We take it into account. And we accept the possibility. We accept the reality of the situation. And we continue on in this faith, in this truth. Right? So look, this is the book of Revelation chapter 20 and verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shah, and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Yahweh Shah 1,000 years, right? So look, man, those of us who do get beheaded, who have to be a martyr, they're still going to receive that reward. If you're a martyr for this truth, you're still going to receive the reward of reigning with Yahweh Shai. And this says 1,000 years, right? 1,000 years that we're going to reign over the kingdom, right? And after 1,000 years, we're going to eradicate all of the Edomites, and then we're going to allow the heathen to go back to their normal lands. Because after 1,000 years, we're really the 1,000 years, yes, to build up our kingdom, but it's also to set these heathen straight. You know what I'm saying? So it's not 1,000 years and then the heathen are going to come and wage war with us. The scriptures say that, in the kingdom there shall be no more war. Nation shall not fight against nation anymore. Micah chapter 4, I want to say, and Isaiah chapter 2. So it's not talking about after 1,000 years, the heathen are going to try and wage war with us. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Right? So that's all I got for this video lesson, man. Lord willing, this was edifying, straight to the point. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Hakwadash. And until next time, Shalom.